everybody, and welcome to the Cop Table podcast, where tonight we are previewing the Wolves versus Liverpool game this coming Thursday evening. Joining me once again is Jay Riley. You can get Jay on the Radio City Fan Friday talk show at the Cop HQ on Twitter if you want to give him a follow there, and regular with us on the Cop Table. So, how are you, Jay?
A little bit worse for wear, to be honest with you, Peter. Obviously it was great on Sunday, wasn't it? Celebrating beating Manchester United, and I'm full of cold at the minute, we just see how we go. But, all things good at Liverpool at the moment, aren't they?
For Liverpool fans everywhere, this is the ultimate football app for you. For match highlights, interviews, and the best Liverpool videos and podcasts. Download the Cop app for free now on the App Store and Google Play.
Yeah, and that's where we will start off this podcast. We're going to go back and look at the game against Manchester United at the weekend. We've come away with a 2-0 victory, but pretty dominant throughout the game, wasn't we? United only had a little spell at the end of the second half, really, and Liverpool should have been clear by 4 or 5. Even 6 goals, I thought, in my opinion. I thought we absolutely played them off the park at times, and I thought we deserved 3 points. But just give us your thoughts and verdict on the performance, please, Jay.
Well, yeah, we said, didn't we, on the last podcast that we thought Liverpool would win comfortably, and you couldn't say it was comfortable in the sense that it took until the very last kick of the game, Mo Salah, to wrap it up and put the gloss on the victory. But Liverpool were in cruise control through most of the game and totally dominant, really, weren't they? And, Man United were just absolutely terrified of Liverpool, really, and you could see that, couldn't you, with the way they set up. And it didn't help them, really, with Rashford being out, because obviously he's their best player, isn't he? And he's their most dangerous weapon that they've got. And with him getting a back injury and missing the game, then it's sort of like it was damage limitation for Manchester United, really. And they had to play Luke Shaw, didn't he, in the defence, along with young Brandon Williams to sort of help him out a little bit. And to be fair, I thought Shaw done all right, because he's been out injured and he comes in for a lot of criticism and a lot of stick, but I thought he done okay. And another player I thought done okay for them was Fred as well. He's another one who's the butt of a lot of jokes, isn't he? Spent £60 million on him, but I thought he performed all right as well. But in the large part, there's some very poor performances out there from Manchester United, and Liverpool were dominant and they were terrified of us. And like I say, if only Liverpool could maybe took a few more of the opportunities that they had, then there would have been no need for the panic at the end when they had a couple of little opportunities to maybe sneak a point, really, and it would have been a robbery, really, if Liverpool would have dropped points. And it was great that Salah, put the gloss on it, like I said before, at the very end, the last kick of the game. But it could have been so much different, though, couldn't it? The goal that was disallowed, Firmino's goal, I'm sorry, but to me, there was absolutely nothing wrong with it. And I think there's been a precedent set, because if you remember back to December time, Everton went to Old Trafford and Calvert-Lewin went up for a header from a set piece with David De Gea, and he sort of had his arm in his neck, and it didn't get blown up, and the goal was allowed to stand. And I think because of that moment, it's been sort of a little bit of an unwritten rule at the next one, where someone goes up with De Gea and there's any controversy over it, then straight away it's going to be overruled with VAR. And I think that's what's happened there. They've looked at the previous that's happened in another game, and they've thought they can't do it again. They've had to disallow it, and frustrating, really, because if Liverpool would have went 2-0 up there, I'm pretty confident we'd have went on to win 4 or 5, and it sort of give them a little bit of belief still that they could still in the game, and just a little bit frustrating because Wijnaldum was just marginally offside as well, because that was another goal that we had disallowed. And then Sadio Mane nearly scored right on the stroke of half-time. To be fair to United, Pereira should really have scored for them, shouldn't he? It looked offside to me, but when you look at the replays, he's actually onside, and it's poor defending, really. And they should really have equalised then, but let's be honest, Liverpool were totally dominant in that first half. It was men against boys, wasn't it? And in the second half, the way we started so quickly, it was just frustrating. I think we had 5 shots in the first 5 minutes of the second half, and then it was 7 in 10 minutes or something like that as well. We were just bombarding them, really, and frustrating that Salah missed an absolute sitter, didn't he? And Mane should have done better with a chance he had, and David De Gea made a world-class save from Jordan Henderson. Liverpool were just peppering the goal, weren't they? And you were just waiting for that second goal to come, and then hoping then the floodgates would open. But as time went by, United were always going to get a couple of opportunities again, and Martial should have done better, shouldn't he, really? And he had a couple of corners and set pieces then towards the end, but just unbelievable improvisation by Alisson Becker, wasn't it? A long pump downfield. He's seen Salah, he was in his own half, and then obviously sublime, really, his touch, his power, his balance to hold off Daniel James. He's very quick, isn't he? And Salah just slotted it. Fantastic composure to finish it, and there was the 3 points, and good night Manchester United. And in truth, it should have been a lot more convincing than it was. The scoreline suggested, but a massive 3 points for Liverpool on the march to this title.
Yeah, and there was some very good performances from the Liverpool players, Jay. And I've seen a few debates on Twitter as to who would be given the man of the match in that game. I can't remember off the top of my head who got the man of the match on Sky on Sunday, but I thought for myself it was between Virgil van Dijk, obviously another dominant, colossal performance, but I thought Henderson and Gini Wijnaldum in the midfield was absolutely superb, and it could have been a toss-up between the two of them. Personally, I gave it to Gini because I just thought he was everywhere, showing his strength again in that midfield. Uses his upper body so well, doesn't he? And he's gone through that midfield like a knife through butter at times. He put one through Maguire's legs to put us on the attack in one occasion. So I thought he was outstanding. But who was your man of the match for you, Jay?
I thought Wijnaldum and Henderson were absolutely fantastic. Ever since Fabinho has been injured, both of them have stepped up and been remarkably brilliant. I mean, we all know the capabilities of both of the players, but they come in for a little bit of criticism at times, don't they? I mean, quite a lot of fans are still not sold really on the idea that Jordan Henderson's the captain, and some aren't really sold on Gini Wijnaldum, really, in the sense that thinking he's like a first name on the team sheet, if you like. Obviously first choice, more of a squad man. And there is times, and there has been times in his Liverpool career where he has been a little bit of the invisible man, certainly in away games. But I always find with Wijnaldum in the big games against the better teams, or on the big occasions, shall we say, he always tends to perform really well. I mean, we've seen it last season, didn't we, in the semi-final of the Champions League against Barcelona, came off the bench and scored 2 goals. He's always up for the big games, and he always performs to a really top standard. He's fantastic, really, very energetic, well-balanced footballer, really strong, and he's only slight as well. He's only small, but he's really strong, low centre of gravity. He can go left, he can go right. He's a very well-balanced player and gets around the pitch really well. Obviously got an eye for goal as well, and he can link play up and breaks the play up as well. And we can set the tempo a little bit as well. For me, I just think he can be outstanding at times, and on Sunday, that was certainly one of his best performances. He was outstanding. And Jordan Henderson as well, driving force in midfield, led by example, showed real good captaincy skills. And, like I say, things come into question with his captaincy, and people say, is he good enough to be a regular, to be starting all the time? Well, of course he is. He's been absolutely superb, hasn't he, for the majority of this season? And as I say, in particular, since Fabinho got injured, because when he got injured at the end of November time, everyone was flapping, panicking, thinking, we're coming into a busy period now, the Christmas period, and going to Qatar for the World Club Cup, and we just haven't really missed them at all, and that's a testament to them 2 players in particular for me. I mean, if people were to select the strongest Liverpool team, I'm pretty sure most people would probably have Fabinho and Keita in the midfield, wouldn't he? I mean, to me, Keita showed glimpses of brilliance, but he's not reliable because he's always injured. He's made the prawn crackers, and with Wijnaldum and Henderson, they're reliable, steady eddies, but they've also got that little bit of X factor as well about them in some of the big games, and they lead by example. And you can't fault them; they're absolutely unbelievable, thorough professionals, and you can't beat that. Do you know what I mean? They're absolutely been fantastic for Liverpool. And it's just good now that obviously Fabinho came back. He came off the bench, didn't he, in the game? And, it's good that we're getting a few more options back. But certainly on Sunday for me, them two midfield players were superb for Liverpool, and it was hard to separate them for man of the match, but I probably just side a little bit towards Wijnaldum.
Yeah, totally agree with you, Jay. Both of them outstanding, and yeah, it is hard to pick one, but we've both gone with Gini on that one. But just on looking from the Manchester United side of things, was you surprised that they set up with the three at the back, knowing full well that they're going to be inviting pressure on from this Liverpool side that is relentless, really, and it didn't seem to sit right with me with them setting up like that. What was your thoughts on it?
Well, I'm not sure why, because that's the third time now that we've played Manchester United under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and he's been defensive in every single game he's played against us. So, the name Manchester United is just a name now. The team itself's very poor, and the manager's completely clueless, out of his depth, and he's a bit of a laughing stock now, isn't he? It's very reminiscent of Liverpool 10 years ago when we had Roy Hodgson at the helm and he was chatting all kinds of bubbles and all kinds of nonsense that we were just like, what is going on here? We've got this clown in charge of our football club, and I think 100%. A lot of Manchester United fans, they're probably feeling the same, do you know what I mean? It's the ones who know the time of day, they're not soft. I know this fella's out of his depth massively, and he's embarrassing them when he opens his mouth, talking about the semi-final against Manchester City, how Man City selected a strong team against them at Old Trafford in the semi-final of a cup competition, saying that they're going places when when Man City are picking a strong team against them, and then coming out with saying, we were in this game until the last kick of the ball and what have you. Well, yeah, quite true in the sense that we did get the second goal to kill it, last kick of the game, but did he not look at the bigger picture and analyse the whole performance? And Liverpool were totally and utterly dominant, and it was one of the worst Manchester United performances at Anfield that I've ever seen. Come on, he's got to get real. He's got to get into the real world. The man's absolutely deluded, and this is the reason why they played 3 at the back and 5 at the back and played with wing backs. They done it at Old Trafford as well, if you remember, which Liverpool did actually struggle to get to grips with for an hour, but we didn't really struggle to get to grips with it on Sunday at Anfield. It was just more about frustrations, really, that we never got the second goal. Because, as I say, if we'd have got the second goal early on, I think the floodgates would have opened. And, this is the annoying thing. He's just like a little irritant, isn't he, Solskjaer? Because in his mind, he thinks that they were unlucky there on Sunday, when the reality of it is they should have been on the end of it, hiding 4 or 5, shouldn't he? So, he's got fortunate, really. And I think he's still in a job pure and simply because when you think about it, it's like they're in transition and everyone knows it, but he's the club legend, and he's got the backing of some of his ex-teammates, like your Rio Ferdinands and your Gary Nevilles and your Roy Keanes. They're all backing him to the hilt, and it's music to our ears because Manchester United have always historically been our biggest rivals. They're the team we love to hate the most, and there's no love lost at all between us and them. And it's great seeing the demise of their club in the sense that it coincides with Liverpool being the best we've ever been. You talk to fellas in the 50s and 60s and they will tell you that this Liverpool team is absolutely special, and it's arguably the best Liverpool side ever. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'd like to look back to the team in the late 80s. Unfortunately, they were banned from Europe, so we never really had the luxury of being able to tell how good they truly were when it came to playing in the European Cup against all the champions of other countries. But in the in the league, like back in the day, they were absolutely outstanding, weren't they? So it's difficult to really assess the different eras and the different sets of teams that we've had with fantastic footballers over the years. But we can only judge it from our age group, and when we look and you talk to your dad and your uncles and older generation, they all say this is the best Liverpool team. So who are we to argue with that? So, let's enjoy the ride. And the irony of it is it's probably the worst United team of our lifetime as well. So it's all good at the moment. And, when you think about it, it's no surprise whatsoever that they came to Anfield and set up the way they did like that, because they done it at Old Trafford, mate.
Yeah, and like you say, it was very interesting to see Carragher and Roy Keane in that post-match studio, wasn't it? Both going at each other. So yeah, it was good to watch. Anyway, looking forward to the Wolves game on Thursday night, Jay. Wolves play the day before us, didn't they? So they've got an extra day's rest in their legs. So I think it's going to be another difficult fixture, isn't it? We've not long recently played them at Anfield, and it was a close game. So are you expecting another close encounter in this one, Jay?
Well, yeah, they've had an extra day's rest for this one, haven't they? I think they played Saturday, so it'll be 5 days for them, and Liverpool played Sunday, so 4 for us. When we played them a couple of weeks ago, over the festive periods, it was the other way around, wasn't it? I mean, well, Liverpool had 3-day rest, and they only had 2 days, didn't they? They just played Manchester City less than 48 hours before, so it was a little bit unfair on them, I thought, to be perfectly honest, and I was surprised at the performance that they put in, because Liverpool went strong, didn't they, on the day? And Wolves made about 4 or 5 changes, and they actually performed really well. Credit to them, because they couldn't have been 100% fit, a lot of them players, in terms of well rested after the Man City game. Fatigue is definitely a massive factor in football nowadays, and we all know the sports science teams are heavily involved in stuff, and they pick their team on that basis, and certain players didn't play that I'm sure will play against Liverpool on Thursday evening. The likes of Adama Traore and Raul Jimenez didn't play in the game at Anfield. Well, he came off the bench, but he never started. I fully expect him to start at Molineux on Thursday. So, obviously, they're going to be a bit stronger than what they were in the Anfield game. And I suppose when you look at it, though, Liverpool were still tired as well. So, Liverpool hopefully won't be, maybe a little bit more rested up ourselves, because when you think about it, Liverpool had a 9-day gap after the Sheffield United game before we played Tottenham, because, obviously it was a team full of kids, wasn't it, against Everton in the FA Cup third round. And then after that, we had an 8-day gap for the Manchester United game. So Liverpool should be really well rested now from the festive period. There should be no excuses. And, 4 days is not too bad preparation. If Liverpool would have been playing this game on Wednesday night, you might have said, yeah, fair enough. But the fact is, it's an extra day's rest, isn't it? No matter whether they had the Saturday to Thursday or not, it shouldn't really matter too much. And let's not forget, Wolves have had a really long, hard season. I think this might, if I'm right in saying it, I'm sure I've seen somewhere today that this is going to be their 40th game of the season already. That's quite remarkable, really, isn't it, when you think about it? I mean, it's because they started their season in the Europa League in it was the middle of July, wasn't it? So, they're already, like, they should be a lot of mileage in them, like, shouldn't they, really, when you think about it up to this point? So, who knows? I mean, the extra day might help them, but I fully expected it to be a tough game. I mean, they're a quality side, aren't they? They've got some really good footballers in the midfield area with Moutinho and Ruben Neves, and I think Johnny's quite good as well, the fullback. He's an attacking fullback, isn't he? Because he likes to play 3 at the back, don't he? And as we know, with Conor Cody, he was at Liverpool as a kid, just wasn't quite good enough, but he might have a point to prove, and he's a really good leader, isn't he? And he knows the position really well, and he's a talker, and he's a good footballer. Like, he obviously learned his trade at Liverpool, and he's gone on to pastures new elsewhere, and now he's found a club that he's settled in, and he's the captain there. So, they have got some good footballers. I think the goalkeeper's quite good as well. He's Portuguese goalkeeper, isn't he? And they've got a goal scorer in Raul Jimenez, and they've got a threat in Adama Traore as well, and Jota's not a bad player. So they've certainly got a good group of players there that could cause us problems. And, they gave a really good account of themselves in Anfield. They probably feel a bit hard done by, because, there was a couple of VAR incidents in the game. And I suppose, the letter of the law, they were both correct decisions, but you would feel hard done by, wouldn't you? Certainly the goal that they had chalked off, because we've had one against us like that ourselves this season, and just infuriating. Thankfully, Liverpool came back to win in that game against Aston Villa, but they didn't even get a point out of it, because Liverpool ended up going on to win the game 1-0. But I thought towards the end of that game, the last 10 minutes, we were hanging on, weren't we? And you could probably argue that they were the best team to come to Anfield this season, and they all arguably did deserve a point as well, to be fair to them. So this is a really, really tough game, but it's a different game. It's a totally different game to the one at Anfield. And, the only thing I'm looking at with this game is, if you remember back to when we played Leicester on Boxing Night, everyone thought that was going to be a tough game, and we could have dropped points there and what have you. But it wasn't really the case, was it? I mean, we went there and put in probably our best performance of the season. Absolutely played them off the park, 4-0, flattered Leicester. And that's madness to think it, but I could easily have been 7-8, you name it. Do you know what I mean? They won 9-0 this season away to Southampton. Now, that game, that when we played them on Boxing Night, if that would have been 9-0 to Liverpool, no one could have argued, could they? So that shows you how good Liverpool were, because Leicester, the third best team in this Premier League, and Liverpool, basically give them a hiding on their own patch. So what's to say we can't do it to Wolves, at Molineux on Thursday night? We very well could do, but I get the impression it's going to be really tight, though, because they are a good side. I mean, we played them last season there just before Christmas and beat them 2-0, and we went out to the FA Cup in the third round to them, albeit a weakened Liverpool team. So, it's a tough place to go. There's no doubt about it. And, you got to try and be positive, though, because you look and think, we've played 22 league games this year. We've won 21 of them. Manchester City have beaten Sheffield United. They've closed the gap to 13 points now. We've got 2 games in hand, and obviously this is one of them against Wolves, and the other one's the week after against West Ham. And they're away from home. So, yeah, they are tricky games, but this Liverpool team's just absolutely flying, and they're like a winning machine. They're a well-oiled machine, and they go anywhere and get victories and get results. But, a draw wouldn't be the end of the world, let's be honest about it, because it's one of our toughest games left, I would say, on paper. So, a draw wouldn't be the end of the world. It'd make us 14 clear with a game in hand. But you just like to think Liverpool can go anywhere and win. And we just want to make sure we keep on winning and try and get this title in the bag as quickly as possible, and then hope that we can then try and concentrate on winning another European Cup if we can. Let's be greedy. Why not? I mean, last season we won the European Cup and we're a point off winning the Premier League title. So, last year we nearly done a double. So why can't we do it this year as well? The FA Cup's a little added bonus because it's allowing us to play like some of the younger players, the fringe players coming back from injury. So the game against Shrewsbury will basically be similar team to what played against Everton, with a few extra, more experienced players who are coming back from injury, like your Fabinho's, like your Matip's, maybe even Lovren. So I'm sure the likes of Origi and Elliott and Minamino and Jones, Williams will all start that game against Shrewsbury. So there's no doubt about it. The main players are going to be able to play in the 2 Premier League games that we've got in midweeks. So I think, when all things considered, it's going to be a tough game, but you've got to fancy Liverpool to just maybe sneak out the 3 points.
Excellent stuff. Cheers, Jay. Right, okay, but just before we do our score predictions, Jay, just want to ask you about the potential lineup for the Wolves game. Obviously, like you've said, Matip, Fabinho now probably have a week's training behind them, haven't they? And I think Lovren's resumed the past couple of days, so can't see him featuring against Wolves. Like you say, he'll be probably safe for the Shrewsbury game. But do you see either of the 2 lads who've been out for a while coming back into the side on Thursday night, Fabinho or Matip? Or do you think Jurgen's going to go 3 times on the bounce now for the same team? Or is he going to mix it up slightly? How do you see him going with this one, Jay?
I think there is a potential for Fabinho to maybe come into the midfield instead of Oxlade-Chamberlain. There is a possibility. I mean, Oxlade-Chamberlain had deserved his chances to start in these 2 big games against Tottenham and Manchester United, but he's done okay. But he hasn't really done anything great, has he, in them games? He hasn't stood out, and he's been substituted in both of the games as well. And I just think maybe, he hasn't really covered himself in glory in the sense that he's given something for Jurgen to think about in terms of making him undroppable, shall we say. So I do think Fabinho is, we all know that he was fantastic before his injury, and he's had a little bit of training under his belt now. He came off the bench, didn't need to play against United for a couple of minutes late on in the second half. So I think there is a possibility that Fabinho, depending on how ready he is, he could very well start this game for me and just makes the midfield a little bit more solidified, if you like, with Henderson and Wijnaldum as well, because that's where I think Wolves are quite strong when they get on the ball with Ruben Neves and João Moutinho, 2 very good footballers. So I just think the extra body in there of Fabinho might help us, and I think that could be one of the changes that happens for the game on Thursday.
Okay, spot on. Right then, Jay, before we we end the show, we always do our score predictions, don't we? For the upcoming game. So yeah, just give us your thoughts on a scoreline and your reasons for them, please, Jay.
Look, I've toyed with the idea of potentially this could be a game where we drop points, and stupidly, how dare I have an opinion before on Twitter. I put all my predictions up for the midweek games, and I actually put us down to draw 1-1 in this game, just because I just think it's bearing in mind what happened when we played them at Anfield a couple of weeks ago. He looked a good side. He arguably deserved the point, I thought, and they might be smarting from the decisions that went against them, VAR, so they might have a point to prove. And it's a night game at Molineux. The crowd will be up for it, and like I say, they're a very good team. They've got goals in them. They don't concede too many goals either, so it is a tough place to go, and I do think there is a chance Liverpool could drop points, to be honest with you, on Thursday night. But a lot of people I don't know whether it's this new generation of super fan, but it's like they just think we're going to win every single game, which I suppose this season in the league, we have won every game virtually apart from one. But sooner or later, we are going to slip up and drop points somewhere or another. We're not going to just win every game between now and the end of the season. It's inevitable that we will somewhere drop points, but I just think I've thought more about it, and I just think maybe this game could suit Liverpool really, because they might have a little bit more of the ball than maybe some other teams do have against us, and Liverpool could be so clinical on the counter-attack against teams, because that used to be our forte probably 12, 18 months ago, and now all of a sudden we just completely and utterly control games of football. Whereas, if Liverpool do have to mix it up, they can mix it up however you want to play it. And just think maybe they'll try a little bit too hard, Wolves, on Thursday, to sort of right the wrong from the game at Anfield. And on that basis, I just think Liverpool might have a little bit too much for them. So I think we might just narrowly beat them at 3 goals in it. So I'll go for my favourite scoreline: Wolves 1, Liverpool 2.
So you're going for a 2-1 victory for Liverpool in this game, Jay? Okay, yeah. Your own thoughts on the game? Like Jay said, going to be a difficult fixture for us, going down to Molineux. Never easy. Really highly rated manager for me, Espirito Sancho. I think that's how you pronounce his surname. But yeah, done a really good job at Wolves and got them playing some really exciting football. So by no stretch this is going to be an easy game. But like I say, most weeks I just think that, like Jay says as well, this Liverpool side, they are a special team, and they can get a victory from anywhere. They can score all different types of goals. They can put a ball over the top. They can play through. Yeah, they can score from set pieces. They can score from crosses coming in from either side. There's just lots and lots of ways that this Liverpool side can kill other teams. So for me, I'm going to go with another clean sheet and Alisson to break the consecutive clean sheet record for Liverpool, and I'm going to go with 2-0 for us in this game, similar to the result to what it was on Sunday. Sorry. So just before we go, just like to say thanks to the LFC Day Trippers, Gavin, the lads over there, for putting out our podcasts on their platforms and editing all the shows for us. Thanks to the @Liverpool online Facebook, Twitter, Instagram pages for also releasing our pods on their platforms. Don't forget to keep up to date, like we say all the time, with the No More Knives campaign with Paul Bentley and all the people over there doing some really fantastic work, and lots of stuff happening there. So follow Paul and the No More Knives campaign for us if you would. Please don't forget, any feedback you want to hand onto the Twitter pages. Me and Jay will always be happy to answer any questions or any feedback that you can get. Obviously, the person that's always writing to us, and I said I'd give it a mention on this podcast, is @Sunshine LFC. Really strong supporter of the Cop Table. Listens every week, and big shout out to her for listening to the pods each week. So that's the Wolves versus Liverpool podcast done this week, and thanks very much for your time again, Jay.
Yeah, no problem. Just, hopefully that we can get these 3 points, because the sooner we wrap this Premier League title up, the better, because we've waited such a long time for it. 30 years, 3 decades, so just can't wait for it now. But, just let's get it done as soon as we can.
Definitely, yeah. If we could fast forward to that time when we're lifting up that trophy, I certainly would. So yeah, thanks everybody for listening to the Cop Table podcast, and we will be back with our preview for our next Premier League game next week at some point. So thanks everybody again, and speak to you all very soon. Goodbye.